I hope everyone is doing well.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good. Good afternoon. Let me go ahead on and call the Transportation Ad Hoc Committee to order. I'm going to ask Ms. Only, you're on.
Yes, sir.
Can you call the roll for the Ad Hoc Committee members?
Yes, sir. Malinowski,
Here.
McBride,
Here.
Livingston,
Here.
Overture Walker, and Mackey.
Let me say, Mr. Walker did inform me that unfortunately he is in federal court and was not be able to, and that's the reason why he would not be able to make the meeting today. We do have a quorum. We'll proceed. The next item on the agenda is item 2A, which is the approval of the minutes. Entertain a motion for approval of the minutes for December 15th, 2020.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of December's minute.
It's a motion for approval. Just a second.
Second.
It's moving properly second. Any change, deletion that relates to the minutes for December 15th? If not, Ms. Unn, can you call the roll for adoption of the minutes for December 15th?
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Mackey. Motion passes.
That now brings us to item 3 on the agenda, adoption of the agenda. Entertain a motion for adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move for the adoption of the agenda.
It's a move for adoption. There's a second.
Second.
It's moving properly second. Any changes, deletions, anything reference to agenda? If not, Ms. Unn, can you
No,
call the
sir.
roll for adoption of the agenda?
Yes, sir. Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That brings us to the next item is election of chair. I know Mr. Overton probably spoke with some of y'all. He expressed some interest in the chair. Maybe a good idea to get a new look. And I informed him that one of the things I can do is just simply go ahead and still carry that motion. Someone wishes to make that motion. And so that way he'd be prepared and ready to chair the meeting the next time. I'll just continue with the chairing of the meeting for the rest of this particular meeting. So now the floor is open. Does anyone wish to make a motion for chair for the committee?
Mr. Chair.
Ms. McBride, you recognize.
Yes, I move to nominate Overture Walker as chair.
Second.
It's a moved and properly second. Any discussions, changes? With that, on the nomination, I'll ask Mrs. Only to call the roll regarding
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we close the nominations.
the motion to close the nomination. A second.
Second.
It's moved and properly second. Nominations closed. The nomination was for Mr. Walker. Those in favor,
Aye.
the nomination, please say aye. I'm sorry, Ms. Only call the roll.
Okay.
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That brings us to item 5 on the agenda, items for information. And Ms. Nehemiah will present those, and that is Gills Creek Greenway, as well as transportation signage and milling. Mr. Nehemiah.
Mr. Chair, point of order, we still have to take the vote on carrying the election of the chair.
But,
All we did was close nominations.
oh, thank you, thank you. And Ms. Owen, can you call the roll for selection?
Yes, sir. Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Yes,
Motion
thank you, Mr.
passes.
Malinowski. That brings item 5. Items for information. Again, Mr. Niemeyer.
Thank you, Chairman Livingston and members of council of the committee. Just a couple information items to put out today. You can read from your agenda that the Girls Creek Greenway public meeting is something that popped up within the last couple weeks. This was spurred by some concerned citizens within that Girls Creek area after a meeting on site with city, county, and our design team, just looking at that final segment. That phase 4 piece between Mickle or Beecliff and Timberland is what we're looking at developing to finalize what we propose to be the Gills Creek Greenway. Based off that reaction and discussion with the administrator, as well as Mr. Walker and Ms. Teresa, we believe to be in the best interest to hold some type of public information meeting within the next month. This would be coordinated extensively with the City of Columbia, Columbia Police Department, stakeholder groups such as River Alliance, and it would be a very inclusive presentation of not only Greenway, Gills Creek Greenway information, but also primarily addressing the City of Columbia's promise through the agreement for security and maintenance of the Greenway, as well as providing information on the benefits of greenways. Now, this back in 16 and 17, the first public meeting that was held, I guess there was 2. There was overwhelming support for this greenway, and at this phase, since it's been a while, the intent is to provide more information of what it's being looked at now. We already have designs for 2 of the primary segments of the greenway, and this final one is what's being worked on now. So the original intent was to have it in council chambers actually next week. We're working with the city, and Ms. Teresa is assisting in getting some information together, and looking to also include planning and development in this, not necessarily as part of their upcoming public involvement meeting, even though Director Voynier and I discussed that, but involving them due to their reforestation project in that area. And as opposed to working in silos, we're working and collaborating together. So I felt that that was just a good piece of information to pass to this committee, and take it under advisement. And if any suggestions moving forward, obviously I'm open to any advice or suggestions you could provide.
And just for the record, you mentioned Walker and Teresa because that crosses both of their districts, correct?
It's primarily in Mr. Joe Walker's, but Ms. Teresa is a pretty big proponent of the greenways and has involved in a lot of this other stakeholder groups. So it borders her district, but she's just, I think it's just a personal involvement for her.
Thank you. Any questions about the information regarding the Gills Creek Greenway?
Mr. Chair,
Yes. Brad, you recognize?
there's been a lot of work done on this greenway, and will this meeting in any way impact the work that has already been done? Or are we looking to develop a new plan, or just what?
No, ma'am. When I discussed this with Mr. Brown the other week, as well as Ms. Teresa, the county has a mandate, made a promise to the residents that voted on this tax to build a Gills Creek Greenway. So that's not going away. Obviously, there's some sensitivities. There's always those folks that don't want something for whatever reason. But it's our responsibility to do the will of the residents through this voting of the sales use tax and council. This project will move forward, but we're not doing it in a vacuum. We're not doing it behind a closed door, and we're just making sure that people are aware of what we're doing, where we're doing it. And obviously, it's our job to listen and to understand their concerns and try to address them.
Okay, will there be a change in the amount of money that has been budgeted?
No, ma'am, there will not be a change.
Okay.
When the council realigned last year, that's the money we have.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I welcome the input from citizens also.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, Mr. Nehemiah, you go to the next item there.
Thank you, Chairman Livingston. The next one I think is good news for everybody. And I got really my inspiration, motivation from Miss McBride. She has been a constant advocate to, highlighting the good work the Penny has done. And, particularly most recently was the Harrison Road sidewalk. And, we haven't been able to advertise, so to speak, put some kind of visual out there. I heard you, Ms. McBride, and, I've heard from others too, but, we did go ahead and work with operational services and PAO and administration, and we developed some signage. There's currently some smaller 18 by 24 inch signs that we put out on a few of the projects. They were perfect for those smaller sidewalk projects, but I've also discussed with Mr. Brown and then Mr. Pruitt from operational service to build us some larger 3x6 signs to put on the projects where we can accommodate such a large sign, and let the taxpayers and the residents know that, hey, this is your Penny at work. This is where the money's going. It's building the shared use path up a Polo Road. It's going to be widening Shop Road. It's building Three Rivers Greenway. It's building the Green Street Phase 2, and making sure that's visible, not only by pedestrian traffic but by vehicular traffic. So I think that's a good thing, and just want to emphasize that we've been able to get these signs through operational services. We're not using penny funds as we're not allowed to do that. So I appreciated my colleague Randy Pruitt for helping us out here and the support of Mr. Brown. Further, since I came to the program, there's always been concern with not pushing information out, and it's easy in today's digital age to post something here, email something here, and that misses a large part of the population. And we got the urban rural mix within this area. So a simple way, kind of going back to basics, as Miss Magnolia Salas from the PIO helped develop just a simple postcard that can be mailed out. For example, for upcoming dirt road packages, we can mail from the county a postcard, something simple. It's not scary. Doesn't look like a bill from the assessor, but a postcard with a picture. It's related to the project with some information on the back. Feel that's a good way to communicate with a lot of people. It comes in the mail. It could be returned, but I think. And these postcards are we haven't run a print yet, looking into the costs, but it's a way to move some simple information effectively to a large amount, and it should be relatively cost effective regarding postage. So if you look at page 5 of 59, you can see the mock-up of what the simple penny sign looks like, and then the mock-up of a sample postcard. So information on the front, which would actually have the picture, or actually the back would have the information with the address, and the front would be a picture with the county's logo on it.
Mr. Chair,
You recognize.
I just want to thank Mr. Nehemiah for following up and for staff, because I think it's important to keep our citizens informed of what's going on with the resources that we have and their money, the taxpayers' money, and also for them to have the opportunity to have input. So I thank you, Mr. Nehemiah.
Thank you. And again, that's just an information item. Mr. Malinowski and then Ms. Mackey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just like to know, because way back prior to, I think, even Ms. McBride and the other council members here, if you recall, Mr. Livingston, the first projects that were being done with the penny tax, there were signs that were in place indicating, and you couldn't miss them. I thought they were still there. What happened? Why did they ever stop?
No, that was a previous administrator suggested that wasn't a good idea, and council stopped doing it.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. Well, I don't have any projects, so that's why I don't know
Yes, you do.
what happened there. Oh, yeah,
Yes, you do.
I got one.
I don't either.
Ms. Mackey.
Yes, thank you. I do appreciate the information and actually putting together a design for the signs and the postcards. I think it definitely is helpful. I would like to maybe suggest to staff and the PIO to consider having maybe a separate logo for the penny. Having it just use the transportation department logo. I think when we send information out to the public, if it's a project that's not under the penny, that's still going on, we want them to be able, I think, to be informed about that just as well as projects that are under the penny. And so I think it'd be good to make sure that we're able to differentiate those. I think people sometimes see things going on all around them and they're not quite sure, well, what is the penny? What is just the county? What is something that the county's working with DOT on that's not under the penny? And so if there's a way that we can somehow include some differentiator in the design, I think that will help residents know when they get this information to say, okay, well, I've seen this before on those signs. This is the penny. Or, oh, I've seen this. This is just for the transportation department.
Thank you, Ms. Mack. And that is the way it was presented in the past. It was very clearly, you even have a penny on the sign. Ms. McBride?
Oh, I just agree with Ms. Mackey, but just what's very important and which oftentimes we don't do a really good job of is letting it know it is Richland County. Because sometimes we put our department's name and people don't even know it's coming from Richland County. So to have Richland County there is very important. Thank you.
No, it would be, also, I mean, in the past, it was both. It was Richland County penny, so you have them both.
Yeah, I know that. I'm just re-emphasizing Richland County.
And council members, I deeply do appreciate that input because you represent a lot of people in this county, and they're the ones that are supposed to be the recipient of this information. I can work with PIO on certain things. Because we use the county logo, it's not a transportation department logo, and we could look at maybe making the Richland County bigger and transportation the same size or smaller. But I can work that out with the graphic type people that do this for a living.
Thank you. You through, Ms. Mackey?
Just one more thing, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And I'll leave
Go ahead,
it alone.
please.
All right. And then the other thing, sorry, was the website. We list our website, but I know I've been on the Penny website and you guys do a good job of updating it with relevant information. And so it'd be good to make sure that people can find it, because right now it's very hard to get there for the average person. So if there's a way to have a shortened URL that gets them right to the Penny page, especially on postcards, I think that'll be easier than just giving the generic website page.
I agree with that too, because one of the discussion points was rather than putting Richland County SC.gov was putting actually the Penny URL on there, and it's so long that it wasn't good. So I'll definitely discuss that also, man.
Thank you. Any other comments regarding the signage? If not, we'll move on into our action items on item 6. And the first one there is the resurfacing package R, pages 5 through 10. Mr. Nehemiah.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston. So right before you is the resurfacing package R contract. Staff is requesting approval to award resurface package R project to Palmetto Corp of Conway in the amount of $3,390,951.95, and to approve a 10% construction contingency of $339,095.19 for a total budget for the project of $3,730,047.13.
And the staff recommendations for approval regarding the Palmetto Corp of Conway. Chair, entertain a motion.
I
You recognize.
move for approval for
Yes,
this.
Motion for approval, is there a second?
I'll second it. I was waiting.
Moving
for
properly second.
that motion.
Malinowski recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question, Mr. Niermeyer, is in many of these items that we have when it comes to these transportation items, we see in there that the bid is below the engineer's estimate. But on this particular one, while we've been given all the bids, we have not been given an engineer's estimate. And I'm wondering if there is one, and if not, why not?
Yes, sir. If you look on page 6 of 59, additional comments, it does provide an engineer's cost estimate of.
I see it there.
4.9.
All right, I missed it. I see it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Neal, I have just one quick question. Well, maybe more a procurement question. Now, Palmetto Corp of Conway, are they from Conway?
Sir, I believe their main headquarters is out of Conway, hence the name. Maybe that's where their owner lives. But they've got a lot of work and a lot of locations within the Midlands.
And the reason I'm asking that question is, as I remind folks, often one of the big concerns when the penny was passed was to try to work as much as possible with SLBE's small local business enterprises. And I noticed Sierra Jackson and Sloan are both local. I don't know where West Rivers are. And it's a procurement question. When we're doing the bidding, there's nothing in the bid that give an advantage to a small local business enterprise. Is anyone on from procurement?
Yes, sir, Mr. Livingston. It's Jennifer Ladishkin. May I be recognized?
Yes, please.
Yes, when we are soliciting for these projects, we submit the information to the Office of Small Business Opportunities. They examine the list of registered SLBEs for Richland County, and they determine a goal for the project itself. And then that goal is included in the solicitation documents. For this project, there was not an SLBE goal. And so we did not include any information relative to that in this briefing document.
Okay, my other question was, procurement allowed us to give any points of whatever, well, this is a bid, so just on the amount.
Yeah, we do have a local preference, but there are certain limitations to when it may be used. And the dollar amount of a project is one of the considerations. And so this project would have been higher than the dollar amount that would have been allowed as called for in the local preference in the ordinance.
Thank you. I'll follow up later on that. Thank you very much. Mr. McBride, you have a question?
Yes. Is the limitation that is that due to Richland County policy, state policy, or what?
That would be a Richland County policy. It's included in the procurement ordinance that was established, I believe, about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. Also, was there a reason why the SLB was not a part of the bidding package?
I would just say that the standard practice would be that there was not enough SLBEs that could perform the indicated work, and that's why there was a zero goal. If there are enough SLBEs that can perform the work, then that section of work is segregated for SLBEs.
So based on the information that we have, we don't have SLBs that could perform this type of work. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I'm not in the office and I didn't come up with the goal, but that would be my assumption.
Well, who could you help me in determining who came up with the goal?
Yes, ma'am. That would be the Office of Small Business Opportunities, and that's led by Miss Erica Wade.
Okay. And did any minority, are any of these companies minority? I know it's small businesses, but are any minority businesses?
Just a second. I don't believe so, but let me look at the list just one more time. CR Jackson, I believe, is a woman-owned business. I am not familiar enough with the others to know if they are or not.
Okay, thank you. That's just something that, Mr. Livingston, that I think that, and I guess I may need a motion later to look at that in terms of our procurement policies. Thank you.
Hey, Justin, how are you?
Any further discussion? If not, do anyone need to speak? I'm sorry. Ms. Only is moved and properly second to adopt the staff recommendation regarding item 6A. Can you call the roll for item 6A?
Yes, sir. Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes,
Livingston,
Yes,
Mackey.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. That brings to item 6B, Garner's Ferry Harmon intersection. That's on pages 11 through 44. Mr. Niemeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston. Ms. Steele, who's online, is going to brief this one to the committee. Steele?
Good afternoon, everyone. This project was looked at as part of our de-scoping plan last year when we reviewed and reevaluated all of our projects that hadn't yet moved to construction. This one was currently under its referendum amount. The original referendum amount for this was $2.6 million. And the rough estimate back last year was around $1.5 million. But based on the criteria to look at capacity, safety issues, the same criteria we used across the board, we evaluated this intersection and noticed that the design that the PDT was looking at didn't really improve the intersection a whole lot. It improved some of the Garner's Ferry Road traffic east and west. Didn't really do a lot of improvement for the Harmon Road, especially southbound traffic. So what we approved, or what we presented last year in our D-scope and what was approved by council, was to kind of take a step back from this project and not move forward with it until we have a chance to meet with our OET and go over the design, see if there was something else we could add to it to really address and improve it more than what was presented in the design last year. This would have been one of the ones that if we could find a better alternative design, maybe some of the savings we were coming up with from our other projects could be added to this one to make it a better project. Unfortunately, when we met with the OET, we went through all of the traffic data. There isn't a whole lot more that can be done at this intersection and really keep it an intersection project. To really get a bigger improvement, it would really need to be widening Harmon Lane to 2 through traffic lanes through Garner's Ferry. That would require more right-of-way. It would require going to the south side of the intersection and basically mirroring the work on that. So that would have to also be widened to an extra lane and possibly turning lanes on that section. And then Harmon Road to the north and south would have to be widened for a certain portion of the roadways. So when you get to looking at what would really need to be done to improve this intersection dramatically, we are probably talking about easily tripling or quadrupling the original cost estimate of this project. Now, the cost estimate that we had from the PDT, the $1.5 million, that's a couple years old. So it is probably more in the $2 million range now with inflation, sticking with the current design. So at this time, we recommended taking this project back to the original design proposed by the PDT.
You heard the staff recommendation. Questions? Entertain a motion.
Yep, Mr. Chair, I've got some questions. If you want to do a motion first, that's all right.
Let me do a motion first. So entertain a motion for the staff recommendation.
I'll move for discussion.
So move, and I'll second it so we can move forward with discussion. It's moving properly second, Ms. Mallon, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've got all of these items for the different widenings and intersections in front of us. But the only thing that we're voting on today is this particular one that was highlighted on page 33, the Garner's Ferry intersection project. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Now, going to the charts that you provided us on page 16 of our agenda, table 3A, remaining project over the referendum. Are those projects listed in priority order?
They are not. I do not believe.
Right. How about 3B? Table 3B.
They are not. They are listed according to the categories. They're just grouped by category to keep it easy to compare.
Okay, so 4A and 4B are your only ones listed in priority order then, right?
Correct.
Okay. When it comes to this Garner's Ferry Road intersection project, it's stated on page 33 that there were no public meetings held to date. Are there going to be some? It seems like we're trying to take a vote and decide what we want to do, yet we don't have the public input.
We would definitely want to have a public input meeting or a public meeting to let them know what the proposal is. We would not really, for an intersection improvement like this, where we're not really adding bikeways or sidewalks or anything like that, we would rely on our design come up by the OET and not really take suggestions from the public on how to make this intersection better. But we would like to have a public meeting to let them know what's going to happen here.
Yeah,
But until we get council approval to go back to picking up with the design and finishing the project, we wanted to hold off on that.
okay, I understand. That's fine. That's a good idea. And not only on this one, but on several others in the agenda where you've got right of way obtained to date, and it indicates the amount. Then it says expended to date. I'm wondering what the expenses are for, only because when the penny tax items were started, we were told that right of ways that we were not going to spend money to obtain right of ways. Or
Well,
is that only on the dirt roads?
Dirt roads, that was only on the dirt roads. Those have to be voluntarily given the right of way for those.
Okay.
Yeah, for all of the projects, the expended to date includes the fees for the actual right of way agent and the actual payment we made to the property owners and any condemnation lawyer fees.
Okay, so you're recommending is to go forward with the original pre-descope intersection design for this, which I guess that would also be the referendum funding of 2.6 million.
Correct.
And you're saying the current cost estimate you believe to be about 2 million.
Correct. The one the PDT provided is a couple years old. So just to be conservative, I would round that up to 2 million.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have one quick question. Now, this dollar amount increase will not affect the other B-scope projects, right? It'll come from somewhere else, correct?
Correct. It will come from the 2.6 million approved in the referendum.
Okay.
We don't anticipate the cost of this project to go over that 2.6 million.
Okay. Any further questions? If not, Ms. Only, it's been moved and properly second regarding item 6B in cover row.
Malinowski,
No.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. Nehemiah, that brings us to item 6C, transportation budget submission and approval process.
Thanks, Chairman Livingston. What's before you stems from a very arduous budget process last year. I know the briefing document that you read is, it's probably confusing for those that haven't lived it. in a nutshell, is transportation staff is requesting council to only require new money moving forward with our budgets to be presented to council, aligned with all the other departments in the county. If you may recall, last budget cycle, in our approval in June, you were presented with our 3 general ledgers, our personnel operations, our roadways, and then our pedestrian improvement greenways, broken down by job ledger, which we intend to continue to do, because that's the only really way to control the budget at the project level. However, we're also required to present all our estimated money that's already encumbered on purchase orders, as well as at that point, a good deal of unencumbered money that was aligned against projects. We did that simply because this was the year that we knew we were going to bond or ban again. We're going to do potentially our final debt finance, and we're at a position where we've achieved, I guess, a plateau or a homeostasis between the work and our ability to manage said work. So this was the rebaselining year going into FY22 for budgets, where we will really be moving forward with what we know we need as opposed to what we think we need. So this request comes from a place of looking for economy, looking for better alignment with the rest of the county and how their budgets are presented, outside of us requiring to present things at the lower job ledger level. So if I have a roadways general ledger, big money, it's decomposed down into individual projects. And that's what we're asking for, because we can't ask for more money than what we think we're going to get in revenue.
Let me ask my council colleague, for question to the point. I'm gonna have to ask a question for clarification. I'm not clearly on what you're asking. Ms. Malinowski, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Like you, there was a lot of words put in front of us in this agenda, and I'm not so sure what a lot of them meant in here. It seemed like we kept going around in circles, or it just wasn't made really quite clear to me exactly what we're trying to do. Because Mr. Niemeyer just ended his comments by saying they can't ask for any more money than what is anticipated they will get in revenue. That being said, on page 46 of our agenda, it says from attachment 2, Mr. Niemeyer stated the anticipated revenue is $69 million. And from the vote that was taken, that 69 million, along with some rollover money, was included in there to give a total of 85 million. So I don't see how you could have gotten any more if you can't ask for more than anticipated revenue and you were approved that.
My answer, sir?
Yes, please.
So I could see the confusion in that statement, sir. That 85 projected of new money for FY21 to go against projects was based off of an anticipated revenue stream of 69 million from the sales use tax, and then the additional 16 million from savings, what we have in our current accounts. So in that sense, we can't obviously print money, but we can anticipate what we're having, build that money into the budget, and then go into what we have in our current accounts. This is similar to what we're doing with the bond coming up. We have about 130 million in the account. We're paying down 25 of that. So that's where that additional money, additional $16 million was coming from, that you saw before you and you voted on and approved.
But you're still going back to your statement. If you can't ask for more than the anticipated revenue, you asked for that and you received that. So I don't know what we're looking toward changing there.
Perhaps I misstated. I guess what it should have said, like, well, if my anticipated revenue, I'm not going to ask for $100 million if I'm only getting $10 million in. That would be irresponsible. So a combination, the 85 is a combination of savings, which could be outside funding. It could be interest that goes into the account from debt. But my baseline for my budget will always be that 69 million for new money going into the new year, and then whatever we have that's unencumbered within the transportation's account. Or maybe Director Hayes could, if he's on, you could jump in. If not, I can get maybe him to come on or him to help explain that. That's just the premise I've operated under since taking over the budget.
Okay, Mr. Chair, go ahead. I'm done for now because.
All right, let me see if Ms. McBride first, and then I'll.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I really don't understand the reason for the request or the full implications for it. I would like to defer it. I move for deferral.
I don't know how, let me ask a
I'll
question.
withdraw my deferral.
Okay, and this may be more from Mr. Hayes too. Now, what you're requesting is that, in a sense, that you be treated somehow the way departments are treated. And in other words, you're only required to submit the new funds to council for an annual budget, not
correct, sir.
previous funds. Is that the main gist of what you're asking us?
Yes, sir. That's the main gist. We've been treated differently, and for some reason, for some good reasons in the past, but we're at a very different place now, and managing the program responsibly in-house and to better see economies of operating like the rest of the county, rather than going back and chasing dollar amounts that change up until even after the budget's approved. Let us present a new budget of new money, what we think we need for that next fiscal year, and not burden it with estimates of encumbered purchase orders that will be rolled over, that or unencumbered money that we may anticipate that is a higher number then. So if we can just present new money, have it approved, it really much simplifies our ability to get a budget approved and to move forward with letting projects.
Is Mr. Hayes on the line?
Mr. Chair, I do not believe Mr. Hayes is actually on the line, sir. So in terms of getting the question addressed from budget standpoint, it may be helpful if we allow him that opportunity. He's not on the call this time. I did message him just a moment ago when I heard the question being asked, but he is not currently on the line, Mr. Chair.
I'm gonna go back to Ms. McBride, and she yielded to me.
Ms. McBride, I'll support your deferral, but can I ask one question so we get some additional clarity when it comes back?
Yes. Mhm.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd like Mr. Hayes or Mr. Niemeyer, both, when you come back, to put this in language that if you stopped the guy on the street and told him about it, he could understand. It doesn't seem like it's there right now, especially when you go into pages 54 and 55 agenda. You've got these numbers and letters here, which may mean something to you because you work with them every day. I have no idea what they are. 1231 H 22 53 54 just sounds like we're waiting for the football to be snapped. So I'd like that clarified too, please. Thank you, Ms. McBride.
I wasn't aware of your football knowledge there. It's been moved. I'm sorry, Ms. McBride.
I move for deferral until the next Transportation Committee meeting, including
Motion for deferral, the
the
second.
response.
I'll second that.
Move proper second. That's not debatable. Mrs. Only, in cover.
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, that concludes the items on our agenda.
Chair, I'll move to adjourn.
Motion for adjournment, is there a second?
Second.
It's moving proper second for adjournment. Ms. Owen, can you call the roll for the motion to adjourn?
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank everyone very, very much. I'll see y'all later. The meeting's adjourned.
See you later. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.